to be quite honest, it's been a few years since I've done any deer hunting with a firearm. And every year I kind of think about, what gun am I going to use? And a lot of it really has to do with proven reliability, accuracy, the caliber itself, the bullet that I'm going to pick, and really just my endearment to the gun, so to say, my affection towards that firearm, because going deer hunting is a very intimate thing. It's a bloody thing. It's a trying thing. It's one of those things that the firearm you bring is not just a deer rifle. There's a lot more to it. So this year I want to take a look at and share with you the rifle that I'm going to use, as well as the particular cartridge I'm going to use. Now, again, I haven't used a firearm to go deer hunting it's probably been about 3 years. I've been bow hunting a few times, but it's been a while since I've been firearm hunting. And this year, I thought about it for a little bit because there was a few things I considered. I considered a shotgun. The very first time I went deer hunting, for the first couple years I went deer hunting, I used a Mossberg field shotgun with buckshot or a slug. And I've actually located my first gun, the very first one I've owned. A friend of mine has it. And anyhow, I was considering acquiring it for this particular hunt. I still want to acquire that shotgun, but I'm not going to use that shotgun for this hunt. For this one, what I'm going to use is a rifle I've had for a long time. It's one of my all-time favorite rifles. It's by far one of the most accurate rifles I own. And that's a Schmidt-Rubin 9611 made in 1896 and modified in 1911. So this is an old, one might argue a war rifle, but the Swiss never really engaged in war, but man, they were really good at making rifles. But ultimately, this particular rifle, it was made in 1896 and it was modified again in 1911 to take on a smaller bolt, because this rifle is a straight pull design, but that bolt rotates when you push it forward and locked it into position. So in 96, the rotating bolt was near the rear. The locking lug on that bolt was near the rear of the bolt, and they put it in the middle just to make it shorter. In 1911, when they introduced the K11, which was the carbine version of this particular firearm, but really what they did was they took the 1896 rifle and they modified it to take on this new 1911 bolt, as well as the original 1896 stock did not have a pistol grip, and they molded one in there, fused two pieces of wood together to make that. So they again, ultimately what they did was they took the 1896 rifle and they modified it in 1911. Now, this modification, especially with the bolt, was really designed to take on the new 7.5 by 55 Swiss before it took on the 7.5 by 53.5. But now that it's taken on the 7.5 by 55 Swiss, this is one of the most loved Swiss cartridges. People who do precision shooting in Europe really lean on to the 7.5 by 55 Swiss. Ultimately, what you have with this particular round, and depends on who makes it and where'd you get it, but it's 130 to 174 grain bullet traveling at around 3,000 feet per second, giving off 2,600 foot-pounds of energy. It's quite a bit. It's a fantastic flat shooting round. Now, typical guns that take the 7.5 by 55 Swiss, because it's not real common round, is of course the K11, the 9611, the K31. A lot of people love that K31. The SIG SG 510, the Sturmwerger 52, or the Swiss Mannlicher M1813 carbine. And there's also a lot of older rifles that kind of the old European look that have been modified to take the 7.5 by 55 Swiss. And a lot of people have taken those K11s and the K31s and put on more modern stocks to make them better precision rifles. But this particular 9611 is all original. It even has the original stock. This stock is in such good condition. I think somebody put it in their closet in 1911 and then took it out and took it to a gun show in Kansas and sold it to me. I have never seen one in this good a condition. Now, The only modification I have made on this rifle is I've added this bar. It's not a permanent modification. It's a temporary modification with just 2 screws down by the magazine. Essentially the metal bracket around the magazine has 2 screws. You take those out, you put on this bracket, put in 2 new screws, and it's going to be able to mount a scope to it. Now the scope I'm going to use, I'm also using a camera with it, so I can film the hunt. This is going to be a fantastic adventure, so to say, that I should be able to get on film. But I can also see the iron sights in this firearm, so if I decide to shoot with iron sights, I still can film it. Iron sights often come in handy because where I'm going to hunt is the Missouri Ozark, and it's the thick Missouri Ozark, so oftentimes you're in the thick brush. The leaves will be gone, but nonetheless, if I'm having trouble kind of seeing my target, I'll use the iron sights. So I like it for that reason. But those are really the only modifications that I've done to this rifle. Again, the rest of it's original. Now, the particular bullet that I'm going to use is a PPU 174 grain 7.5 by 55 Swiss with a lead tip. This one I have found is not as accurate as the Swiss made full metal jacket bullets. And those, it's a smaller bullets, full metal jacket, so I'm not using that one, but those are incredibly accurate. So if you're doing precision shooting, definitely recommend the Swiss made 7.5 by 55s. But for deer hunting, I'm going to recommend the PPU 7.5 by 55 Swiss 174 grain lead tip bullets. Again, they're not as accurate, but they're still pretty darn accurate. This is an incredibly accurate rifle and still an incredible round. Traveling around 2,800 feet per second. This is going to be a great load for deer hunting. Typically, I like PPU rounds for deer hunting, but I know a lot of people have their preferences. But this is the one I'm going to use. And honestly, a lot of people don't make deer loads in 7.5 by 55 Swiss, so my choices are limited as well. So there you go. This year, again, as soon as I can get this on film, I'll film the whole thing. I would like to add that we're going through the book of Matthew verse by verse, and we're hunting and fishing through it, which is why I've been doing a lot of bow hunting. So I'm sure this particular hunt, we will go through the book of Matthew during that time as well. I highly recommend joining us, going through the book of Matthew verse by verse, because God just has me hunting and fishing through it, and I'm thankful for that, and it's been a blast, and we've barely made it through chapter 1 so far, and I think we got about 40 fishing trips and hunting trips in there. But this is going to be a big one. Firearm season is only 10 days in Missouri. They do have some antlerless seasons and an unconventional firearm season as well, but when it comes to rifle season, this is my shot, and this is the fire I'm using, and these are the rounds I'm going to be using. Be curious what you're hunting with. Definitely put it in the comments below. Love to also know what you've had success with. Put that in the comments below as well. Do want to take a moment and say that most people watch this channel, hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.